Hi, Christy. Hi, Josh. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
How you doing, Josh? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Okay, I don't hear you. Christy, can you hear me?
Yes, I just logged on with my sound. Yep.
Okay. Okay, I don't hear you, Josh. We'll start in just a few minutes. Let everybody log on here.
Can you hear me now, sir?
I can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys logging on. Hello, Olga. Hello, Brenda.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, good. Awesome. I love that you guys turn on your cameras there. Shows you're paying attention. Hello, Bree. Welcome. Hello, Melissa. Everybody can hear me, right? We got 7 of 9. Well, we'll wait about another minute and then we're going to go. This is being recorded. Everybody doing okay? Everybody in school now, right? You guys all have classes? Excellent, excellent. Okay, while we're waiting, I want to write this down. Bree, what grade level are you teaching?
Eighth grade.
8th grade, okay. General science, I assume.
Yeah, physical science.
Okay, physical science. How about okay, that was Bree. How about Brenda Hernandez? What grade are you teaching?
Eighth grade as well.
8th
General
grade.
science. Yeah.
Okay. Olga?
General science. Yeah.
And what grade, Olga?
Eighth grade. Oh,
8th grade. You guys are all middle school people. Josh?
Oh, sorry. So it's general science, 7th grade and 8th.
Okay, 7th, 8th. Okay. Josh, how about
I'm
you?
I'm general science, but I do fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth.
Oh, that's right. Boy, yeah, you're all the way 4th through 8th. Okay. Ben here? Let's see. Don't see Ben. How about Melissa?
I teach high school chemistry, mostly
What?
10th grade, but
Mostly
some
10th.
11th and 12th.
Right up my alley. That's exactly what I taught for 25 years. Love it. And Christina?
I'm doing 8th grade physical science.
8th grade. Okay. All right. I think I got everybody. Okay. Most of you guys look like you're middle school. So anyway, I'm going to change the agenda I had for tonight a little bit. What I want to do is make sure that you guys are basically comfortable with the website. I know for my 650B people, you've been through it. A couple of you are the 650A. So, but overall, I do want to kind of go over the where to find things on the website. That's the most important thing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see if this works a little better. This is being recorded, okay. All right. So you guys can see the Zoom thing there, right? Okay. Now, one question I have, I want to see if your guys' class setup is similar to mine. Okay, when you guys log in, is this kind of what you see? This is my class, one of my classes. Give me a thumbs up if it looks the same to you guys. Okay. Now, when we go down to content, okay, you guys get this little thing over on the left. Is that right? Perfect. Okay. All right. Very important thing here. I know a lot of you are familiar, but I just kind of want to go through it. the student resources, when you click on this, okay, and then you go to candidate resources, this is where you're going to get your intern handbook, which I emailed to you and some of you couldn't open. When I emailed things, I did it on a Mac, and if you have a PC, it may not be able to open. So this is where you can get your handbook if you couldn't open it. Your SSP has a different handbook, so make sure you check with them that they can open up their handbook as well. Okay. And then the lesson plan templates. Now, when you click on this, you might get the same thing for the handbook. You're going to get a little prompt here. You're going to click on this, and this is going to take you actually to the handbooks and the lesson plan templates. Okay, so that's where you want to go, and you should be able to open up whether you have a PC or Mac if you do that. Okay. All right, now one thing I do want to point out, when you click on the lesson plans, make sure you go to the one that fits your class, okay? You know, some of these are 650A. You can see right there, there's 650A, and here's the B. Now, also, they break it down a little bit. This first one here is going to be for months 1, 2, and 3. And then your last month for your 650A is right here. It's a different template. The same for this 650B. This is for months. Let's go ahead and open up the B here. Now, my 650B, you guys are in the Cal TPA cycles, right? Doing that this year? Okay. That's, I tell you right now, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You know, you're going to kind of hit double duty because they are very picky, and I'm going to try to guide you guys, guide everybody on the lesson plans. So whether you're doing this, the Cal TPA now or next spring, which would be my 650A students, I want to kind of get you in the frame of doing these the way Cal TPA wants them, because they're very picky. You're going to find that out. They're very picky. So I'm just going to kind of guide you through. But anyway, so this is lesson plan template for, oh, okay, hold on. That's 550. Let's get out of this one. We don't want this one. I went to the wrong one. Okay. Let me go back here. Okay. So I wish they would label these a little bit better. So when you go into them, you know, they're easier to spot. But let's pull this one up and see which one this one is here. Okay, again, this is not the one I'm looking for. Okay, I'm going to verify something because I have a sneaky feeling. No, never mind. My mistake. My mistake. That other one works just fine. What you're going to notice up here, I just kind of scanned across. Okay, well, let's just stick with this one. This is course B. Notice it says 650B over there. Okay. So this is basically this is for 650 first month, second month. Because by now you guys have already done 4 lessons and observations in your 650A. So what I want you guys to realize on the terminology here, they kind of run both classes together. So 650A is going to be lesson plan 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you get into 650B, it's 5, 6, 7. There is no 8. Does that make sense? And the lesson plans and the video observations are kind of follow that same order. So since we're on this one, okay, this would be the template that you would use 650 for month 1 and 2, 5 and 6. Okay, a little bit confusing. So what I want you guys to realize is make sure you go through what is in green, because this is stuff that you can use, okay? Now, when you go to the actual lesson plan, okay, you're going to be filling out these areas. Now, it's pretty standard on the first part of your lesson plan for whether you're 650A or 650B. You're going to have your topic and you're going to have your content standards. Now, when you have the standards, go ahead and list the standard by number and then also put the link there so we can go to it. Don't just put the link. Okay. When you get to the ELD standards, same thing. Make sure you put the name of the standard as well as the link. Okay. Now, the goals here, what I want you guys to get away from is putting your goals in paragraph form. I would like you to start putting them in bullet form where you're bulleting. Here's what I kind of want to give you an insight. When the Cal TPA people are reviewing your lesson plans for cycle, they are very focused on doing these quickly. So if you have just a big long paragraph that they got to kind of go all through, they're going to downgrade you a little bit. So bullet points are better. Okay, bullet points are better as opposed to a paragraph form. Okay, when you guys get in your cycle Cal TPAs, confirm that with your advisor. It won't be me, but that's what I'd like you to do for these things as well. Okay. Now, when you get into evidence assessments, I want you to stay away from generalizations. Okay, so when you are assessing, how are you going to assess? I want you to focus on percentages. So if your assessment or your goal is to have, 70% of the students achieve a certain level, write down that 70%. Get away from the holistic point of view. So we're shifting away from that. Come up with percentages because that's what the cycle Cal TPA wants, okay? Now, also when you do the learning activities, bullet point them. Don't have it in a paragraph. Bullet point them. One other thing I want you guys to do, when you have key terms, keywords, bold print them. Just highlight them in bold. Okay? Now, one thing when you guys actually are doing this, okay, and you go to highlight, it may not allow you to bold it. That's okay, then highlight it in yellow. The key terms. Things like, what are key terms? I'll get to those in a minute, but offhand, like critical thinking is a key term. Okay? Things like that are key terms. Okay? Again, describe, when you go through these grouping instructions, decide how you will group students for learning. And believe it or not, this is a really important thing, how you group them for learning. That goes right up there with class discipline. So again, I would put them as bullet points. Okay. All right, welcome. Who just came in? It looks like, okay, yeah. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. Okay, so I don't expect your first lesson plan to be perfect. Okay, don't worry about that. Just do the best you can, but make sure you address everything in here. Now, one thing I really want you guys to focus on is the actual rubric. Okay, that's at the bottom of the templates. So let's start with the first rubric here. Here's the first rubric. You guys are all gonna, your goal is to get the maximum points. So when you are doing this part of the rubric, make sure you read all the components that should be in there and you strive for number 3 here. All, because I'm going to look at, are all elements included? Well, what are the elements? They're right here in the rubric. Your content standard, your ELD standard, your learning goal, your ELD goal. Pretty simple. And if these are bullet pointed, I can grade these really easy. If I have to read through a paragraph to find these and try to figure out what they are, I'm not going to be happy. And I'll tell you, the Cal TPA people will not be happy. So that's why bullet points work really well. Okay. And then when you go for the next, the lesson components, standards and goals, okay, actionable feedback, you're going to look at what is the highest level, which is number 3 here, 3 points. All but one elements are included, okay? So there, I'm going to expect all these elements. You can omit one if you want, okay? And again, anytime there's a key word in there, okay, I would like you to bold it, okay? Like adaptations is a keyword. Accommodations is a keyword. Generally, keywords are found in the rubric here, okay? And as we go through, the rubric is right below your lesson plan. So what I'm trying to get you guys to have the mindset is, as you write the lesson plan, have the rubric right here and go through it. And make sure you're coordinating all. Because if you're missing anything on here, you're not going to get points for it. Any questions on the lesson plan? It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? You got a rubric to follow. You guys have all done lesson plans in the past. Here's one thing I also want you to think about when you're doing lesson plans. The reason I like you to bullet point them, because I want you to be able to look at a lesson plan while you're teaching and refer back to it and make sure you kind of check yourself. If you have a paragraph form, it's going to be hard for you to take that lesson plan and use it during the lesson. It's kind of like when you're driving down the street. Okay, the street signs are all pretty much straightforward. Stop, no turn lane. I mean, those are kind of like bullet points, because when you're driving, that's where your focus is on. You don't want to be reading a big sign. The same thing when you're teaching. You want to be performing and executing this lesson plan. So your lesson plan that you've written up is kind of a guide for you right there on the table for you to easily see and follow yourself, making sure you're doing the best you can to follow it. That's why bullet points work real well. Okay. All right. So that's the lesson plan. And again, the rubrics are right here inside the class. So let's move on. If you need some more standards, here you go. Next generation standards. Okay. I'll come back to the observation in a moment. I want to go to the TPA, the TPE running record, okay? So again, they have, if you click on that, this is where you're going to get it. They have your template, and they have a sample for you. Okay. So let's just kind of take a look quickly at the template. Okay, this is a blank running record. Basically, I want to point out that depending on what month you're in, when you enter things, they're going to be color coded. So when I'm going through this, I know that red is the first month, weeks 1 through 3. I know that green is month 2, and so on. Okay, make sure you put the date here that you executed that. Now, one thing I want you guys to get away from is double dipping on the evidence here. In other words, once you put an entry for, say, this one, this would be TPE 1.1, and you date it, don't ever come back to that. I don't need you to come back and, 6 weeks later and put another reentry in. I'm not saying you're not going to cover that TPE. I just don't need to see it in the running record. Once you put an entry in here, that one is like locked out. Okay, no more. So, if you have a red entry in here for the first month, I don't expect to see a black entry. Okay. Now, how many of these should you do? Well, in a real world, we love you to do all of them, but that's not going to happen. But you want to cover as many of these as possible. Okay. This is your blueprint for teaching. Now let's go back and look at a sample. That is already done. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's a sample. Filled out at the top. Okay. Now you notice in this particular sample, they have 2 entries here. I don't really want to see that. I just want you to basically, I mean, unless it's something that really stood out to you, you can go back and put it in. But the general rule is 1 entry per box, okay? And that's pretty much what's going on here. Okay. Now, I also want you to be as detailed as you can, but as brief as you can. 1 sentence really doesn't cover it. Oh, we covered this TP, it went good. Okay, give me some insight, but it doesn't have to be long. Okay. Any questions on the running records? Again, a couple of entries, double entries, that's okay. Just kind of make it the exception, not the rule. Most of them are single entries. Any questions on the running records? Okay. Now, when you guys do the formal observations, okay, this is, I want you, there's a checklist here. To help you. Okay. These are kind of your observation focuses. So make sure you guys go through these. Now, your lesson, when you guys videotape your lesson, it may only be a couple of the TPEs. You don't have to feel like you got to cover everything. And I really don't need to see more than maybe 20 minutes of an observation. I'd rather have quality than quantity. So, you know, in the past, I've gotten observations where there's a lot of dead time in the class. And that's okay, as long as I see you going around and maybe using that for checking for understanding. Okay, so when you guys decide to do a video observation, keep in mind, I want to see quality over quantity. 20 minutes is plenty, because you're going to go back and you're going to annotate these things. Okay, and make sure when you guys do the annotations, you cite the TPE that I am seeing in the video, with a few comments of how you felt about it. Now, permission slips. If you need permission slips for the kids to be videotaped, they're right here. Okay, now hopefully you don't have restrictions there where the class can't be videotaped. I recommend maybe videotaping their backs and your fronts, if your class is set up that way. That way, you know, I don't have to see their faces, but I see you interacting with them. That's a good recommendation. By the way, how you set up your classroom is going to directly affect classroom management. I would advise you to always have the students facing you and not to an angle to you, if possible. Okay. Sometimes you never want a student's back to you. These are just recommendations. If you can't, you know, if that's the only thing you can do, that's the only thing you can do. But if you want great classroom control, have them facing you directly, not side, not backs. So think about that when you set up your classroom, if you can. Okay, just do the best you can. So any questions on the 3 main assignments? We would cover the lesson plan, we've covered the running record, and we've covered the observation. Any questions? Okay, your ISV support verification hours. Again, I talked about in the triad meeting. If your class started in the summer, if you're on a year-round thing, or you were doing anything, any meetings or anything with this term during the summer, you can count those ISV hours. Just go back and backdate them if you have to. Okay. Now let's take a look at the assignments. Okay, when you guys have the assignments, the PLC meeting, you get 10 points for attending. If you're listening to a recording, what I can do on that is I can give you 40% credit if you send me a very short email summary saying you watched the video, because I understand life happens. Okay. So what you got here, what you guys are looking at, you know, there's your running record. Here's where you know, your ISV hours. Okay. Your observation video, and then your lesson plan. And that pretty much repeats every month, as you guys know. You go through here, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay. The only thing that differs is month 4 for my 650A, you're going to do what we call it's a summative assessment video. And then for my 650B, you're going to do an individual development plan, IDP. Okay. We'll talk about those as we get more to those, as we get closer to those. Now, due dates. Okay. Let me go to the gradebook here. Show you guys, take a look here. Just so you know. Okay. This is Ben's class. So obviously the class has started, so there's nothing entered. But you can see on here the gradebook pretty much is going to follow the order I want your things turned in. Okay, we start the month with your PLC meeting. Now your lesson plan, I need that at least a week before the video. So I would like your lesson plan no later than the end of week 2 of the month. We're in week 1 right now of September. Okay, so a week from Friday, I would like your lesson plan. So I can read it and go through it and make comments and get it graded and get it back to you by the weekend, so you can have that when you do your observation right here, your video. Okay. So week 3, the video needs to be done and annotated. That's why I don't really think you guys need to go more than 20 minutes on your video, because it'll just take too long to annotate. I have a real good idea of what's going on in that class pretty quickly. Okay. So the end of week 3, I would need the video uploaded with the annotations. And then the end of week 4 is your running record. You kind of go back and summarize what you did. And that carries on each month. Are we okay on the due dates? Okay, the last thing I need is from your SSP.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So that would be week 2 would be the 15th that we would have turn in on Friday 15th.
Yeah. I mean, I would shoot for Fridays at the end of each one of these weeks.
Okay.
That way it gives me the weekend to get it back to you by Monday in
Okay,
time
got
for
it.
you to start your next thing. Yeah, a week from tomorrow would be the lesson plan.
Got
2
it.
weeks from tomorrow would be the video. 3 weeks from tomorrow would be the TPE. Awesome. Okay.
I have one question. For the
Yes, Brenda.
TPE, do we randomly just put it on the day we think we did that? We met the standard?
Can you repeat that?
So for the TPE, do we randomly put the date of when we met the standard in the evidence?
Oh, for the running record?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no way I'm going to check on those. Random, ballpark is fine.
And how many per month?
Well, here's the thing. When I grade your running records, I want to see that, number one, you've at least have gone through each of the 6 areas of the TPEs, okay? And each of the TPEs, I would say roughly have about 8 individual components. So I would say that, you know, I'm not going to put a number out there, but at least try to get half of them. You know, for TPE 1, yeah, I think there's 6 of them. I'd like you to see at least address 3 of them during the course of the fall. So just kind of figure it out yourself how many you have to do. I mean, you know, does that kind of make sense? I don't have a hardcore number for you.
Yeah,
If you're getting at least half of every TPE entered into the running record, then we're good.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I spent a little more time on that. I just want to go about 5 minutes more, talking about mainly what I had on my agenda for today, but I felt getting a good start was really important. Okay. But first of all, I do want to also say this. I'm here to serve you and help you guys and guide you through. I'm not here to punish or be, you know, a shaming professor or whatever. And I understand life gets in the way. So if things start bogging down on you, especially my 650B people, and you're having trouble keeping up, don't wait till after the fact to let me know. Okay, if you're having trouble and you know what, Professor Lux, my lesson plan is not going to be able to be turned in by the second Friday. Can I have a few extra days? That's fine. We'll work around it. Okay, as long as I know ahead of time. Communication is really important, in other words. And I think the easiest way is to communicate through text messages with me. You guys all have my cell phone number. I'll give it to you again. It's 760-803-4633. Let me stop sharing the screen here. I think we're done with this. Okay. And I'll put it in the chat too, just so you guys have it. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, we have a few minutes. Let me go through the chat. So I'm not seeing the ITL 650 course available to me yet. Who is that? First question here. I don't see a name on there.
That's me.
Oh, okay.
So I got an email that I was supposed to attend an orientation on Wednesday next week.
Yeah,
That's
you know, Christy, I think it's just behind because I have not gotten all the classes yet either. So that may be the case.
Okay.
Okay. And again, if that bogs you down, let me know. We'll definitely give you some grace period on assignments turning in late if you have to, simply because the class hasn't shown up there, and that's okay.
Okay.
So does that help?
Yeah, I'm just concerned I'm in the wrong spot.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bree, sorry, my computer was giving me, so I swear. Okay, no problem. Any other questions? Put in the text chat there. I'm going to put my cell phone. Okay, you guys got that? Texting works great with me. Okay, just a quick text. Hey, Professor Lux, can I have a couple extra days on this? I don't really need an explanation. You know, I trust you guys. But just communication is really good. And here's the mindset I want you guys to have. You guys are students to me, but you guys are professors to your kids. You guys are teachers to your kids, right? So how you want your kids to respond to your assignments is get them in on time, communicate, yada, yada. Same mindset goes to me, okay? I'm sure with your kids, you know, if you had a student that says, you know, God, such and such happened and I'm falling behind, you know, I might need a little extra time. I'm sure you're going to give it to them. Okay. The same thing with me. If you communicate ahead of time. So kind of have that same mindset going back and forth. Okay. Also, I do want to say a couple things. And for my repeat students, my 650Bs, I'm going to ask you to put in the chat, what's the most important quality for a teacher to have? Go ahead and type in one word, whatever you think. Nothing's wrong. Curious if my repeating students remember. What do you guys think is the most important quality for a teacher to have? There's 7 or 8 of us here. I got one response. Come on. Can tell who hasn't had me before. Class management is absolutely number 1. Okay. Not that patience isn't important, Brenda. Class management is absolutely number 1. Because how can you be patient if your class is out of control? How can you be empathetic if the kids are climbing the walls? Right? So class management is really, really vital. And you guys, I assume, are either just starting off or maybe you've been in a couple weeks. Do a little self-check. How is my classroom control? Could I leave the classroom for 2 minutes and come back? Could I turn my back on the students and not freak out? Class control is absolutely number 1. And if you don't have it right now, that's your focus. What can I do to get better classroom control? And that's where your SSP, I want you to lean on them because they're there with you. They know the demographics of your school. And you guys are going to see classroom control differs from period to period. You got some periods that are like amazing and some that are just like, God, there's 2 kids that if they weren't there, you know. So really focus on the classroom control. And you can even make your lesson plan, build that into your lesson plan, classroom management. Do activities for classroom management. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so start thinking about how you can make your class better for you because this is your house. They are visiting your house. It's not the other way around. Okay, they are invading your space. How would you feel if your neighbor came over and just opened up, came in your house and started cooking something? Ain't gonna happen, right? But when students come in and start doing things that they're not supposed to do, same thing. They're turning on the stove in your kitchen. Okay, so that's really your focus. So important. And it's like mowing your lawn. It's something has to be worked on constantly. You get good at it and you can relax, but you always have to be able to pounce back on it because they will keep pushing the envelope with you. And I'm sure you guys can think back to teachers in your past that were great teachers and teachers that were not so great. And probably the common denominator was how their class control was. So lean on your SSP for classroom control. Don't be afraid to look at other teachers. Look at the ones that have no classroom control, if you have time. Look at the ones that have great classroom control and find out what works in your school so you can implement it for you. So that's really my focus on always the first PLC meeting. And I always touch base on it on every PLC meeting because it's so important. Teaching can be the greatest job or it can be the worst. And if you don't have classroom control, it will be the worst. Okay. So, you know, there's all kinds of things you can do to maintain great classroom control. But the bottom line is think how you want your class to be and set your rules according to them. And by the way, I'm going to ask one more quick question and we'll call it a night. What do you think is the biggest distraction for your students? Give me a one-word answer. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Those damn cell phones. Luckily, I started teaching when there were no cell phones, and I went through the evolution of cell phones. You know, and you got to work with your administrators and whatever. But if I were you, I would have a hard, fast rule that they are not allowed to be on in class. No exceptions. We're guilty as teachers when we go to faculty meetings. How many of us are doing this with our cell phone, right? We all do it. But if you turn that thing off, my cell phone wasn't on during this meeting. Okay. You may have to fight your admin on that, but I'll tell you right now, they're crazy if they allow it. So that's where it's going to start. Okay. With no cell phones, my recommendation. Your class, you do what you want. Any other questions for tonight? Okay, our next PLC meeting will be the first week in October, the Thursday at 6:30. I'll send out a reminder. I have an open door. Text me. You can call me. You can text me anytime. Call me, say between 9 and 6, Monday through Sunday. I'm always available. Lean on your SSPs. And finally, one word, make sure your SSP gets that information sheet filled out and turned in. I prefer them to do it than send it to me and me upload it, because it's easier for one person to do it than one person do one instead of one person doing all 9. But you know, I'll do it too if I do get them. I think somebody sent me one, so no problem on that. So unless you have any other questions, I'm done for tonight. Thank you guys for giving me your time on Thursday night, and this will be recorded and sent out. All right, let's rock and roll. You're free. Okay, you're free to go, but if you have a question, go ahead and stick around. Olga, what's yours?
Yeah, so when is it due, the letter from the SSP?
Well, credentials would like it the first 3 weeks, so they should get on it, you know, over the next couple of weeks for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
I have one quick question.
Yes, my chemistry teacher. Yay.
When you said we needed to link the standards, do you mean hyperlink, or what did you mean by that?
Okay, when you guys are filling out the lesson plan, you're gonna type in the standard, you know, and I would just copy and paste that thing in there, but also there's usually a link to the standard. So put the link in there as well. So you have the verbiage that, so I know what the standard is. And by the way, if you have a standard that's really long, you can summarize it or just the beginning, just so I know that maybe you're attacking ionic bonds or something. But also there
Okay.
should be a link to that standard that if I want to go read about the standard, I can click on the link and go to it. So have the verbiage and the link.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bree.